You are listening to 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College, and on YouTube.com. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the only wrestling talk show here on WHPC. Welcome to Takedown Breakdown. I'm your host, Josh Silberg. With me at this time, my tag team partner, the original cast of Takedown Breakdown, the OG, as I like to say, of Takedown Breakdown. Myself, along with Lyle. What's up, bud?
Nothing much. Enjoyed a great Wednesday night of wrestling again, and excited to talk about it.
Did you like that whole OG thing? Did you like the little intro there?
Oh, it was great. Perfect.
I saw that, for those that can't watch, Lyle gave like he's going with that one. Okay.
A what?
I was like, you were like, oh, he's going with that intro. All right. That was the look I got. But nevertheless, Lyle, you're 100% correct. There was a lot we have to talk about, a lot to take in regards to what we saw on Wednesday night this week. We had Fight for the Fallen from AEW, and then for NXT.
Oh yeah, Fight for the Fallen. I thought you said Fighter Fest.
Oh, no, what am I? I'm not Jim Ross.
You didn't pull a JR.
I mean, that was ridiculous. Am I wrong? I said my point 2 weeks ago, and then he just backs up my point. He doesn't even know what show he's at.
And I'm gonna say this now. I was gonna say it later in the show, but I'll say it now. I today watched the Great American Bash 1990.
Good for you.
And I wanted to watch Sting versus Flair at the end. Very good match. I enjoyed the card. But what I took out of it was, the entire time I was like, oh, it's great announcing, doing a great job. And then it got to the end of the show, it's Jim Ross. I'm like, what? He's not stumbling over every word anymore? Wow.
I know.
Even comparing him to the 90s, the late 90s in WWF, he was completely different. And I thought you look where he was then to WWF to the late 2000s and then to now, he's not the same guy anymore. He can't do the job as well as he can. JR is a legend. I love JR, but it needs to be Excalibur and Tony calling the show. Maybe someone else, but I think that he should go and do scouting and creative. I think at this point he's much better in that role.
No, I agree with you, and it's interesting, and also if you look back to the golden era of the WWF, Tony Schiavone, was the announcer for WWF at one point. Yeah, so it's kind of like they flip-flop roles. And also, by the way, we here wish Tony Schiavone all the best. I believe it was it him that got tested for it or somebody? I don't remember what it was, why he wasn't at the show Wednesday. I can't remember why they said he wasn't there. I think it's because he was getting tested for it and the results didn't get back in time. I think that's what it was. So I think that's what they said it was at the beginning of the show. That's why Schiavone.
I don't remember.
I think that's what it was. I think that's what Excalibur said. There was a lot going on, but we do, of course, we hope to see Tony back next week. And,
Well, it's a taped show 2 weeks. They taped 2 weeks. So next week will be Tony again.
Will be Tony. Okay. So, and we hope to see Scott Nebb and Justin Caracciolo on back here eventually, but in the time being, they've gone AWOL.
Are they pulling the Addison role?
No, boy.
Just disappearing? Yes, he was left off due to COVID-19 issues.
It was. Okay, so I was right. I thought I heard Excalibur say that at the beginning of the show. That's why Taz took over for him in the beginning, because usually Taz is dark with Excalibur. But let's get right into it.
He has not tested positive, though.
Okay.
The test results have not come back yet. And out of precaution, they left him home.
Yeah, they're backed up like crazy all over the place in the country right now. I mean, you do walk-in doctors. I have a buddy of mine who went to get tested for the COVID test Tuesday, and the results still haven't come back in yet. So
That's nuts. That's not how it should be.
no, it's just crazy how slow and how long it's taken to be processed and everything like that. But
We're getting a second wave now, and it's the beginning of a second wave. And if you're listening and you're from outside the country, um, parts of the United States went way down, but now other parts of the United States have skyrocketed up. In my opinion, I think it's going to eventually come back up here where we're from in New York. But I'm hoping that New York can escape it for a while, and then by the time a vaccine or something comes around, it will be okay, and hopefully everyone else outside of New York is safe and all right. But we're still in a pandemic, and you still have to be safe and social distance and wear a mask.
You can buy them anywhere now.
Yeah, and you could definitely go to pro wrestling tees and buy some awesome ones that come with a filter.
WWE shop too.
Eh.
I mean, you could. I mean, if you wanted it. I mean, the Kane one is pretty cool though on WWE shop. The Kane one.
If I'm gonna buy a WWE mask, I'm gonna go to pro wrestling tees and buy the CM Punk one.
CM Punk one is cool. Which, by the way, speaking of pro wrestling tees, this is one of my shirts in the pro wrestling crate that I got. It was
Move your mic.
For those that could see it on.
There we go.
For those that could see it on YouTube, it's the Brainbusters, Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson.
That's an awesome shirt.
Yeah. So, so they gave me that one. They gave me an FTR one. So that was kind of cool.
What was the FTR one?
I'll show you it later on. I don't have it with me now. I'll show you it.
Was it the one they have right now, the yellow one?
No. It was black. It was black with like red writing a little bit on it. I'll wear it for you next week.
Sounds good. And now everyone has a excuse to tune in.
Yes, and now I got my shirts in the back because everybody's always asking me what shirts are you putting up this week. So I went tag team this week. I put up the Lucha Brothers and the Briscoe Brothers, two of the best in the world. So that's what I would have went with Young Bucks, but I feel like that's too obvious. Everybody's gonna pick the Young Bucks. I wanted to go a little outside the box with the more of the unknown because I do have a Young Bucks shirt, but I didn't want to be like too obvious. Like I wanted to go.
I have 3.
That's disturbing. You're 3 of the same team. I don't know. I can only buy one shirt. I've always had this thing. You know this about me, Lyle. I can't buy more of. I can only buy one shirt for that person. Once I have it,
my wardrobe is wrestling shirts.
No, it's not.
So if
it's sports shirts, you child.
No, it's mainly all wrestling shirts.
No.
I ordered 2 more this week from Hot Topic. I ordered a American Nightmare Cody Rhodes Bullet Club shirt, and I ordered a Naito shirt. So that's what I wear.
You get the the Cabron one with the skeleton head with the eye?
It's a Destino. I think it's a Destino on it.
No, it's just Destino on the back of it. There's this Cabron on the front. He's wearing the hat, the skeleton head with the eye.
Yep.
They still got the Cody one too?
Yeah, they had it on the website, and I'm gonna go pick it up in store when it comes.
That must have been on clearance.
It was 20% off. It was not on clearance.
Those shirts aren't on clearance yet. Those shirts are so old.
It's very old, but it's a great shirt, so I don't care. Okay.
Okay. So
speaking of Cody, why don't we segue that into starting off with the Cody Sonny Kiss match?
That's fine. We definitely can. And listen, we knew Cody was gonna win. The match was better than I thought it would go. Actually, Sonny Kiss is really talented. But you did see a little bit of a heel in Cody that you've been seeing, and even Arn Anderson was kind of like, which is kind of interesting to me because I feel like now when you look at it, I feel like Arn, when they do a 4 horseman group, I feel like Arn's not going to be a part of it. I feel like it's just going to be totally as the manager, I get the feeling.
I wouldn't be shocked if Cody turned on Arn Anderson.
Me neither.
But speaking of heels, there was something else interesting that happened later on in the show, where Kenny Omega teased a heel turn. And I'm bringing this up now because Bully Ray said something. He said that Kenny Omega does not need to be a heel to be to really show what he's capable of. And I was thinking when I heard that what does who in AEW as a heel can truly have great storylines with Kenny Omega? Cody Rhodes. He was an amazing heel in New Japan. He was great. And
Right.
I think if
Mistake, but yeah, he was. He was great in both brands. He was.
well, I'm going mainly New Japan because that's when he was with the Bullet Club and he had that Civil War.
And yeah,
But I think him leading a four horseman group can be a very good storyline with the Elite, and that which then ends up segueing Hangman after the four horsemen beat those four. Hangman into his own path as a singles guy, and he can leave, and then I think that would be a better way to do it. Hangman is still over as a face. Kenny Omega can still be a face and go on a singles run, and then you still have the Young Bucks as faces.
so you want against Cody's group?
But you cut off.
Oh no, that's right. I'm sorry. You want those four: Hangman, Kenny, and the Bucks versus Cody's Horseman group.
Yes, I think that would be great, and I also think that that would be something awesome that they can do for a that can culminate in Blood and Guts, which was going to be a War Games match. I think that would be a great way to finish that rivalry. You have the four horsemen win, and then you have Hangman, hey, you know what? We already lost Cody, and upset he lost, and he just goes on his own way. Which, if you watch Being the Elite, he's already teased
I know.
that he wants to be on his own. Again, he did it a couple weeks ago. So I think that I don't think they're gonna turn him heel. He's too over in the face. You can't do that. I think he's going to be a singles guy, and I think he's gonna end up being pushed into a singles role that where he eventually gets the championship. Um, but I think that Cody would be the best heel of if anyone you're trying to make someone a top heel because they really don't have that. MJF lost a lot of heat from the pandemic.
So
Um,
they don't have
and
AW. They don't.
and and when I think of who a great heel is, MJF is amazing, but the problem is I don't think he's good enough in the ring to compete with Kenny Omega.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yes.
I think he can have a good match, but I don't think it would be a match of a match in the style that Kenny Omega likes to have. So I think that Cody Rhodes turning heel and joining the Four Horsemen would probably be the best way to go about it. And once again, FTR teased on Twitter about Four Horsemen just a few days ago. So I think that it's too obvious that it's going to happen, and it definitely will. But it's not obvious who's in it right now, and when it will happen. I think All Out is probably the best way to do it.
Couple of points I'll make, and you made great points, Lyle. You made excellent points. I'll make a couple here as well. First off, I think a guy that's going to be so underrated in this group. I know we're talking about FTR and Cody constantly, but I think a guy that's going to thrive, I think that could be really good as an enforcer of the group, is Sean Spears. I think Sean.
I agree.
I think Sean Spears will be completely underrated in this group. I think he fits the mold. Because when you also think about it, it's four former guys too that were cast-offs in the WWE. So that's kind of an interesting thing when you look at it together. You got Sean Spears, FTR, and Cody Rhodes. We're all cast-offs from the WWE. So I think you see a bond already with those four because they've already experienced similar situations. With that, you made a great point about Blood and Guts because it's supposed to be like a War Games match. When I think of War Games, I think of the Horsemen.
Yeah.
I instantly think of the Horsemen. I think going way back to the days when it was Arn and Flair and all those guys going up against Sting and whatsoever. And you saw it at Fall Brawl every year and everything like that. Another thing, too, is what makes Cody interesting is if you look at guys in his past. I'll give you one example. In Ring of Honor, when Steve Corino was announcing, Steve Corino made a comment to Cody. Steve Corino made a comment. You know who Steve Corino is.
Yeah.
He made a comment to his father, to Dusty, saying, "I never respected you, and I never will." And Cody came back and said the same thing to Corino and beat him up. Years ago in WCW, Arn Anderson was supposed to team with Dustin Rhodes and Dusty. He turned on them, Arn Anderson, because Arn said he would never work with a Rhodes. Um, and I think Cody's going to remember something like that. I think he's going to say, "Oh, you turned on my family. Now I'm gonna stab you in the back and see how that feels." You know, he did it with Steve Corino.
That would be great.
He did it with Steve Corino. He'll do it. He'll look back on it and he'll use that as a story to because Arn's gonna try to be the coach probably still of the Nightmare family, because technically you still have, that means Dustin and QT and Brandy and Allie and those people are still technically in the group. I think when you look at what Cody can use, Cody's going to point right away at Dustin and say, "This is the same man that turned on you years ago in WCW, and now you want to side with him and trust him." And I think that's something that he needs to point back at it and look back at it and say, "Look at what he did to you, and look what he did to our father. He said he would never work with the Rhodes, and I saw."
But if he did that, why would then he stay, or why would Dustin still welcome him as the Nightmare coach?
I think Dustin would still have an open mind to saying maybe he's changed, he's become a better person. You could clearly see it, and also I don't think Dustin holds grudges like Cody would as a heel. You know what I mean? Like Dustin would have to play.
Yeah, that's true.
Cody would be the heelish guy in there, and if you ever get a chance, go back and watch the Steve Corino Cody.
Yeah, but you know what? One thing Cody does that since he started, or as a heel and really started leaving WWE, and I've really been noticing, he actually has reminded me a lot, and only in one aspect, of Ric Flair, by wearing the suits everywhere. Wearing the suit, having the blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
So I think having that presence in a Four Horsemen can be really good, and it would be really cool to watch. He's also probably the best guy in the mic in the company. So you need that to lead that group.
And it's interesting, like you said, and the beauty is when you look back at the Four Horsemen, you had a bunch of different guys in it. I mean, the first original one was Arn and Ole, Tully Blanchard, and Ric Flair. But who was the manager of that group?
J.J. Dillon.
It was J.J. Dillon, and that's who Tully Blanchard would be. He would be the J.J. Dillon of the group, come off as that. And like I said, I think I think they will use something like let's form a bond because we both have been in the same story in the past. We were all cast-offs of the WWE, and I know they're gonna point to the Spears Cody rivalry with the chair and everything like that when he hit him with the chair and stuff like that. And then I'm sure they'll say, "Let's let water under the bridge, bygones be bygones." Let's something like that. I think that will be. I'm curious how that plays out with Spears and Cody.
I'm curious how they're going to end up having this be a thing. When are they going to have it culminate, and how?
That's the beauty. We don't know. We never know.
Yeah.
They hold.
But every week they hinted it more and more and more. When is it going to culminate, and when is the big moment going to be?
Look at what Cody did in the Honey Kiss match. He took the turnbuckle off the thing and started beating him up with his fist. And Arn Anderson was like, "What are you doing?" You know what I mean? He was getting upset at Anderson. He was getting really annoyed. And then what do they do? Of course, they show Tully Blanchard shaking his head yes in the crowd, saying, "Mm-hmm, yeah, that's good.
Yep.
But that's good." So.
And they tried to make it like, oh well, it's a mystery what Tully's doing. He could also be scouting Sonny Kiss, but we know he's not. Yeah, I'm very looking forward to seeing how this whole Four Horsemen storyline plays out.
Be great. And again, you're listening to 90.3 WHBC, the voice of NASA Community College. This is Takedown Breakdown. We're here on YouTube.com and live every Monday night at 11 p.m. Along with Lyle, Gil, and I'm Josh Soberg, Scott Neff, Justin Carasolo. Hopefully, will join us next week. Let's get to more. You brought up the Kenny Omega situation with the heel stuff, with FTR and everything like that. He did try to come up as a face in the beginning, bringing out the beer with the FTR. Then FTR dumped it on him. But then, of course, at the end of his match with Jurassic Express, he got into a little tiff with Marco Stunt and everything like that. So you don't think Kenny should be a heel, is what you're saying? You think he's just way too over as a person?
No, I was talking about Hangman when I said he's too over. But that's what Bully Ray said, that he should stay a face. I would love Kenny on the heel. I think that would be amazing.
I think he's too dry as a face.
I agree, but
way too dry. When he was the Bullet leader in New Japan, he was perfect.
Oh, he was great. I think that he would be better off as a heel, but I don't know. I think either way, what they do would work. I think that Kenny would be a great heel, but it's tricky because you can only have one top heel, and if you make Cody the top heel, what's Omega?
I just don't think they don't. I just think AEW, and I was thinking about this the other day. I'm thinking in my head, okay, who are heels in the company right now, and who are guys even as well that Moxley can still fight for the AEW championship?
Yeah, like, who's next?
Who's left?
I wouldn't be shocked if they did Omega Moxley too at All Out.
I mean, look, he's beating Jericho. He's beating Brody Lee. He's beating that Brian Cage. I'm just trying to think, like, who's... And that's the other problem, too, is he keeps beating all the new guys. That's the problem. He keeps beating all the new guys that just come in. You know?
So, see, I initially didn't like the finish to that match, but how do you have Cage lose and still look really good? If he taps out, he looks bad. If he gets pinned, he looks bad. But if he doesn't give up and Taz gives up for him, you still have a little bit of that there. I think that's the best way to do it. I think it should have been a time limit draw.
Yes. Do that more. They're not doing that enough.
Because the first few times they did it, the fans were not happy about it.
I mean, look, you need to still make guys look. I mean, look, let's look at the facts, right, for the last few months. Okay, so who have they brought in the last few months? Lance Archer, Brody Lee, Brian Cage. What do all three of those guys have in common?
They lost the championship match.
Every time. It's every time they do this. And it's like, you don't have to put them straight to a championship match when they enter the company. You don't have to do that. You could build them. You could build Brody Lee more. I forgot about Brody Lee now. You know what I mean? Like,
I have to say about Brody Lee, he has been hilarious.
He's great
on being the Elite.
Oh, he's great on the beat.
He's great.
Yeah,
I think they should show more of that aspect of him on there.
But don't you like?
It'll be better.
I feel like he's kind of like gotten lost in the shuffle again, you know? Because now he's doing a thing with Colt Cabana, and it's like nobody cares about Colt Cabana anyway. So it's kind of like,
yeah.
I feel like he's lost in the shuffle, and this is what I was worried about. Lance Archer, 1 week I see him beating up Joey Janela, then I don't see him for 2 weeks. Like
the reason is because they tape.
No,
they tape 2 weeks at a time. So it's hard. Next week, Kenny Omega is probably not going to be on the show because he taped in this one part. Which I got to give props to FTR. They have been doing back-to-back weeks. That means they're having 2 matches, and they have a very hard-hitting style in the same day. So I got to give them a lot of props for that. That's difficult.
It's just frustrating to the fans. You know what I mean? It's like
the pandemic is limiting what they can do.
It's definitely hurting AEW. It's hurting NXT too. But clearly NXT is just clearly not abiding by the rules. They're doing live shows and they don't care. You know what I mean? They they clearly don't care. Whereas AEW,
AEW is doing live shows.
no, they're doing live shows, but I'm saying like with the recordings and stuff as well. Whereas like NXT is not abiding by the rules as much, where they're letting guys come in every week, you know, and they're letting a bunch of you see the same names coming in every single week that are wrestling in NXT pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Keith Lee's been on 4 shows in a row. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's clearly like, I mean,
He's the face of the company.
I don't know. It's like, I think,
Well, he's the face of NXT. I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's just, who's left for Moxley to face? What's he going to go up against MJF and beat MJF next? And then you really have nobody. Then that's it.
they need something new to be champion. But it's not a shot at Moxley. It's just the pandemic and his lack of ability to be on the show every week. One thing about Moxley is he does a lot with the crowd. He's big with the crowd, and that's really what makes him cool is everything he does, his entire act, and it's very limited right now for his character. So I think they need something fresh, and Moxley needs a crowd. I think they need to shake him up a little bit. He can't come into the crowd right now because there is no crowd.
I mean,
but maybe
week, but
what?
He attempts to do something every week. Like he goes through like that back way or whatever, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, it's just not the same.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think Jon Moxley is phenomenal. He's one of my favorites. Do I think
agreed.
Do I think Jon Moxley should be undefeated over a year into AEW? No. I don't. I think he should have at least lost one match by now. He's undefeated since of what? I want to say, what was his first match? June of last year? He's now been undefeated for a year now.
If you count the unsanctioned matches, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. He hasn't lost a match yet. I mean,
no, he hasn't.
At least MJF's team lost.
Well, I think that's good because they're trying to build him up as a big thing, so then when he loses, it puts the next guy over, which I'm okay with.
No, that's fine, but I don't know. I think they need something new. They need something new, something fresh to get a new idea.
They very much do. Yeah, I agree. In certain aspects, the show has gotten a little stale, which is why I can't wait for the 4 Horsemen, or even like I was thinking. You look at that Keith Lee Cole championship match. That was something that you were invested in, something you really wanted to see. And I'm starting to think, who is someone that can really build up to have that moment in AEW? And the only person that came to mind is Adam Page.
Yeah, I mean, because look, NXT has it already. People are invested in Keith Lee versus Karrion Kross. I mean, people are going to be invested. NXT has their plan already. I'm trying to figure out now AEW, I understand, is definitely trying to do it, but you also don't need to have a heel go up against Moxley. You could do faces. You could have Darby Allin. I mean, New Japan does it all the time.
I don't think Darby Allin is ready yet to be in that role.
I was just saying.
I think Darby's gonna face Cody at All Out, and I think that's gonna be the big match. I think what's gonna happen is that's when Darby's gonna win, and I think that's gonna push Cody.
Yeah,
to the heel turn.
I was just getting into a hypothetical of like guys that they don't have to be like New Japan. They'll have a face versus a face. Like they'll have Okada versus Ibushi, like they did at Wrestle Kingdom. Mm-hmm. They don't care if it's a heel or face. They don't care. It doesn't matter to them. It's what the fans want to see. I can guarantee you, fans would be very invested in, say, an Adam Page versus a Jon Moxley match, another Kenny Omega versus a Jon Moxley match, just to give you something a little different, because I feel like they're doing heel, and then every time the heel comes into the company, the heel loses. And like Archer, I'm not saying that they should have won, but I'm saying you don't have to put Lance Archer in this tournament to make him look like a megastar, have him get to the finals, and then lose to Cody and do that build-up. Say they were Brody Lee. You don't have to bring Brody Lee in to do all this build-up just for him to lose his second match on AEW. to John Moxley, because now Brody Lee's lost in the shuffle now, and this is exactly what I was concerned about. He's in a thing with Colt Cabana. Nobody cares. Are you really that invested in what Colt Cabana decides to do?
No, I'm more invested with Colt Cabana does with Kenny Omega on being the elite.
Exactly. That's the point. And this is, like I said, this is what concerned me about this whole thing. Even with Matt
You
Hardy.
can't sign too many guys.
Yeah,
I have no problem with Matt Hardy, what he's doing. That's what he was brought in to do, and to work with other guys. I like what he's doing. I think that's the best role for him at this point in his career.
Yes. Sorry. Okay. I think everybody just heard you.
Oh?
No. Okay. No, Melissa was saying something to me. My wife was saying something, but but that's the point. I mean, NXT had the same problem a couple years ago when they brought in EC3, and the problem was they also signed Ricochet, just like they signed Austin Aries, but then they brought in Shinsuke Nakamura. You know what I mean? It's exciting when you see the guys on the brand, but the problem is when you sign too many guys at once, guys get lost. And women too,
Yep.
they all get lost. And it happens a ton. It
happens in New Japan sometimes too. Happens everywhere.
It does.
Maybe less in New Japan because they do a lot of tag matches, but it happens. Guys shows and promotions want to have depth to the show, so they go out and sign guys, but sometimes they get lost in the shuffle. I think Brody Lee's not going to be stuck down there. He's going to end up moving, and I think he'll move into the TNT title picture, into that role. But
you notice what we're doing?
Slow build.
We're putting everybody in this TNT picture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's why Cody originally said he didn't want to have a mid-card title.
And this is the problem too, is there's not enough contenders for Moxley, because Moxley's beating everybody left.
Yeah,
just the brand. There's no guys in the future that you could look at and now build with. You didn't have to let Brian Cage be the guy at Fight for the Fallen. You didn't have to let Brody Lee, although good match, I thought it was way too soon.
I agree.
And I was saying, I said, I love Brody Lee. I love the signing. My problem with Brody Lee being in this championship match is if he loses, he's screwed, because then he's just another guy in the mix of a large roster. And this was Lee's problem in WWE too. He was just mixing the shuffle. They didn't know what to do with him. And then eventually he left. I'm not saying he's leaving. Lance Archer, same thing. Lance Archer looked like $1 million. Jake Roberts built him up in this promo to be his client.
Yep.
And he loses and he falls flat on his face in the biggest match. I'll even go back to a year ago with Shawn Spears. That Spears did that whole thing with Tully Blanchard. You remember it? The build-up for it, just to lose to Cody. And I'm just like, how are you building guys then? Who's left? The only guy I think of right now that Moxley could challenge that he hasn't beaten is MJF. Do we really want to see MJF versus John Moxley for the AEW championship? I don't know how invested.
No, but I will agree that if someone said it could work, because MJF can talk his way to making any storyline very good.
Yes. All right, Lyle.
As of right now, I don't have interest in it, but MJF can talk, and I don't know where he would go with it, but he can make good things to try and make that storyline over.
All right, Lyle, let's give the other company their due, because let me tell you something. The last few weeks, in my opinion, I've been more invested with them, and that's with NXT. I think the Keith Lee Dominic Dijakovic match was excellent. Those are two guys that when they fight over and over and over again, you know what I'm talking about. There's certain guys that you can fight every time, and it just brings out the best in both. And Dijakovic and Lee, they know each other so well. Their rivalry for the North American Championship, when NXT first debuted on USA. They were, I believe, the main event. So they know each other well. But now you got yourself a Karrion Kross, Keith Lee rivalry. And I know you're not about the big guys versus big guys match. But
But they can go.
Keith Lee's a different big guy, and
Yeah.
Karrion Kross is just an animal. Charlotte helps.
NXT, I was very, very. I thought it was okay. I did not like the opening promo. I thought it was really bad. It was very monotone, kind of boring. I thought that the match against Djokovic didn't really make much sense. I thought the match was fine, but it wasn't anything that really was like, yes, this is happening. It didn't make me excited for it. Like, I think that it could have been better. I think it was also too short and didn't get to do that they could have done. I thought the women's title match at the end was very, very good.
Oh, I thought it was. Tegan Knox showed what she really is all about.
I agree with that, but I can't get invested in anything Roger Stone does.
Oh,
it's so bad.
Impact. He was such a good wrestler in Impact, and he actually can't wrestle now.
I just think that it's such a bad character. I like Shotzi a lot. I'm a big fan of Shotzi. I think she's awesome. I think she's cool. If I had to buy a shirt of hers, I would go to Pro Wrestling Tees and buy it from her shop because it goes to her. Also, I think the shirts there are cooler than anything WWE would ever make. But yeah, I thought it was alright. Well, I think the biggest problem was they didn't have any matches announced for the entire card. They announced the promo with Keith Lee, which was terrible. So no one cared. NXT had 6,000 people who were between the ages of 18 to 35 watch this show. That's really bad.
Are you doing this whole ratings thing?
No, I'm not. But that's still really bad. I don't care what the ratings are when your entire audience is 55, and the people watch. You only have 6,000 people that are of that age group. That's not a good sign. They have to try and get people who are a younger audience, but by younger I don't mean children. I mean the 20s and 30s, that age group. They have to try and get them. Right now, they're not, and I think that's what's hurting them the most because they're getting an older audience. It's a very dull program. At times it's very dull, but I think they both are. Yes, they both have had bad times, and it's because of the pandemic. But the Great American Bash Night 2, I was not a fan of. I thought that the only thing good about that show was the second was the main event on the second night. But I don't know. I think that both shows have a lot to fix right now.
I think both shows are really struggling. And honestly, I think New Japan coming back is not going to help them. I think you could see loss of viewership because
I don't think that would make a difference at all. They're on at different times.
They're on times, but people I think might just be like, I'm sick of this. I'm just gonna watch New Japan now. Now that I have an alternate, I don't have to sit there Wednesday night.
But it's not at that time. It's not really gonna affect anything. It's not like I think that's. I don't think that's gonna make a big difference. I think the big thing that's gonna hurt them the most is sports coming back.
Is what?
Sports coming back.
Sports is gonna kill them when they come back. Oh, their viewership is. Their viewership's gonna get crushed when these sports come back. It's gonna. They're gonna get. And it's really disappointing because even the numbers now with the viewership in a pandemic when there's nothing else on are really not. They're not that good.
They're not. But the shows are. I'm going to give them both the benefit of the doubt. If they had a crowd, they could probably do way more, especially AEW.
I guess, but what else is on TV on Wednesday nights?
I have no idea. Guy Fieri's cooking show is on. He is the mayor of Demo Town.
Oh god. Donna's
I,
driving.
I, I go for it. Go for it. I cut off.
I was gonna say Donna's drive-ins and dives.
And demos.
Okay.
I gotta say though, I was not happy when Chris Jericho first time did the demo graph on Twitter. I was not happy when Khan did it all, but I think Chris Jericho saw how mad everybody got when he did it the first time, and now he's just making everybody even more mad for fun. I actually thought the demo god thing was very funny because of how mad everybody got, and they're all getting worked at this point.
Yeah. I mean, look. I'm hoping he doesn't use that anymore. I think it was just like it's funny now, but
No, he's gonna use it for a while.
God, okay.
He's gonna use it, and it's gonna be. I think. I don't know. I think it's funny right now, but I think he is gonna. He's Chris Jericho. He overplays everything. So I think eventually he'll play it to the point where it's not funny anymore. But as of right now, I have no issues with him working an entire fan base.
How about the big announcement? Nyla Rose announcing Vicky Guerrero as the manager.
That was bad. I don't want to hear Vicky Guerrero anymore. I don't.
I said it last week. I said on Twitter. I said I think it should have been Medusa.
I said that too in a Facebook group. I don't remember which one, but I'm not a fan of Vicky Guerrero talking.
Ugh.
Pedro.
We have another. So Sammy made the appearance last week. So Pedro's like, I want to come. Let's talk wrestling. Let's talk wrestling.
Pedro, do you want to be a Lucha brother? He showed the cat to the shirt for the people who are listening on the radio.
Yeah, I know, right? So what was happening was Pedro was staring at the Lucha Brothers shirt. He loves.
And now he looks terrified.
He loves the Lucha Brothers. Are you kidding me? He loves them.
I assumed he would like Proud and Powerful even more, since
that's a good
Pedro's from Puerto Rico.
Great point. You know what? That's his favorite tag team. You know what? Sorry, bud. All right.
He picked the wrong side of the rivalry. Can't even stick to his own country.
Well, I like the Lucha Brothers personally, so I guess he'll like what Daddy likes. So, you know, not that I like Proud and Powerful too. They're awesome too.
Well, I think they're great, and a lot of people were crapping over Ortiz how he reacted to the orange juice. But I thought his overreaction was absolutely hysterical.
Jericho called him an idiot too. Jericho's like, "Get up, you idiot!"
Yeah.
Oh God! All right, Lyle. Let's get into our next thing. We got about a couple minutes left, and again, you're listening to 90.3 WHBC, the voice of Nassau Community College, along with Lyle Gillen. I'm Josh Silverberg. This is Takedown Breakdown, the only wrestling talk show here on 90.3 WHBC. Really quick before we get to our next segment, tune in every Saturday at 12 p.m. for Off the Mat with myself and Alex Slows on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. The app is free. You could type in WWSRN on the Apple Store or on Google Play. I know Lyle's heard the show. Lyle is a fan of it now, correct?
Die Hard.
There you go. He does follow us now, too. But it is true. It's a great show with Alex and I. We got a couple of good things we'll be discussing tomorrow. Tomorrow, Saturday, because I'm supposed to think this is Monday.
Yeah, we are recording on Friday. So when we're recording tomorrow, we're doing the show. But
now,
yeah.
Oh boy. So here we go. So let's get into it. Again, also check us out too on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Every Saturday, 12 p.m. Off the Mat on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Myself and Alex Slows. Good show with us. So let's get to New Japan. We got the road to
New Japan Road.
There it is. That's what I said, isn't it? There's a lot of roads.
I think you said Road 2.
A lot of roads.
Yeah, and they do a lot of Road 2, but this is a little different.
There's a lot of highways and there's a lot of roads, baby. All right, it can only take one. I guess we're taking the New Japan road.
Well, you can take both. You got to get on the road to get to the highway. So
True. I mean, unless you want to walk, or you can do what I did in Austin and try to take the scooter. You know, that didn't work out.
I wouldn't take a scooter on a highway. Might not be very safe.
Well, Matt and I did. We tried, and it failed.
You
So
trying to get on a highway with a scooter?
that's the way to get back to the house. Everybody left. We were the last two to show up.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to New Japan Road. The card is kind of very meh. I think you and I both decided, correct, sir? Talking to you, sir.
It's a card to build up storylines for other shows. Yes.
Yeah, I would say so.
I don't have the biggest issue with it. I think it's okay. I think that they're building up the rivalry between Lij and Bullet Club. That's what they're doing a lot, and they're still keeping the rivalry between Chaos and Bullet Club too.
I had a question for you.
Go for it.
Okay. Now, Evil joining Bullet Club it's cool. It's different, that's for sure. I'm gonna miss Evil and Lij. I think we all are, because he was awesome as his character. Do you think they picked the right Lij guy to be the leader?
100%.
I don't know.
I think he is awesome at what he's doing. I think he's been awesome as a heel. I've loved everything that Evil's been doing. I also think that, you look at what Evil has been over the years, I think it's culminating of a gigantic storyline. It's culmination of a character that is evil. He turned on his friend. He was the first Lij member. He turned on Naito. I think it's just a great way of telling the story of him joining Bullet Club.
And Sonata being in Bullet Club.
No, I don't think that would work very well.
You would have been
because
no matter who joined.
No, I think that Evil is cooler to be the leader of Bullet Club because he has more of that long storyline with Naito, that connection to the fans. Where Sonata joined late, he was in TNA. He has that rivalry with. I think he's gonna build one with Evil, but it's gonna be a little bit. But I think him and Naito going head to head is a lot cooler. And a lot more meaningful, has more power behind it because of their connection to the New Japan audience.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I wanted to get your take on if you thought Sonata or something.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So who's the guy you think that Evil loses the championships to eventually? And how long do you think he holds these belts for?
Well, I predicted Naito to lose the belt to Okada. So I'm not going to guess. All I'm going to say is I think he's going to hold on to it for a while because he has a lot of heat right now. And he's over as a heel already.
And they have fans. They do have fans because they listen to protocols. Unlike us.
Yeah. They're sane people over there. And they're going to have a full crowd before we have 25% capacity.
That's great. I'm trying to think.
Well,
so, they're going to get...
I might move to Japan.
I wouldn't go that far, but okay. I mean, you do you, boy.
Hey, I get New Japan. I get Wrestle Kingdom. All the time. I could just be a New Japan groupie and go place to place and follow them around.
But you get Wrestle Dynasty too.
I'll come on vacation once a year and go to Wrestle Dynasty with you, and then I would go home.
Did you I'm just curious. You know what? I liked everything about Evil. His new theme song, his music, the way his character looks. There was one thing I didn't like. His ring gear was very... Did you like the whole...
I had no issue with it. That's pretty much... It's pretty close to what he has always worn.
It was, but the whole skirt thing, I wasn't a big... Or whatever that was.
I didn't really have an issue with it. I thought the best part about that entire match was when he attacked the announcer, who always has the little Naito toys. I'm sorry, the Evil toys. He grabbed him, he broke him in half, he took him, he threw him over and beat the hell out of him, and I thought that was great.
I felt bad because that guy started crying at the end.
Well, yeah, he's always loved Evil. It's been a big thing, even on the American broadcast. Every time Evil came out, they would show him.
Show him.
And now he attacked him. And another thing about their audience, their announcer team, which I did not realize, the guy who is on TV between the other two is actually there to the right.
Yes. You didn't notice that? They're screened.
I thought he wasn't there this entire time.
They're screened to the middle. So what they do is they have two TV monitors in the middle, and then the two guys on the outside, and then they separate the other two guys.
I see that now, but I thought that they weren't there, so because they didn't want to get sick. So now what they did was
the guys wrestled.
What?
One of the guys who does the announcing was on the screen.
Yeah. I think Makabe was on the screen. Yeah. But I don't know. I didn't realize that at first. I was like, why is he on the screen? But he's right there. And then it went, oh. That's why. They try to keep separated.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it was like 5 a.m. Don't question my brain.
This is the same
with no coffee.
That didn't realize the Lucha Brothers were actually related. So I mean, Which, by the way, did you ever find out about that family tree like I asked you to?
No, I'm not gonna go get a subscription to Ancestry.com.
You don't have to. Just Wikipedia. It takes 2 seconds.
I believe you.
I would hope so. I mean, I wouldn't lie to you about that. I mean, but so, I mean, the matches on the road too. I mean, they're. Let's see, you got Goto and Okada against Gato and Yujiro Takahashi because Okada.
That's gonna be interesting.
Master Watu, Yuji Nagata, Kota Ibushi, and Hiroshi Tanahashi, as I like to call Ibushi and Tanahashi the stragglers because they're not in a group, so they decide to be their own person. Going up against, so Suzuki-gun is all back. Sabre Jr., Taichi, Minoru, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. So they're all back. And then, of course, you got the main event, Evo Dick Togo, Taiji Ishimori against Bushi, Naito versus Takahashi. My guess is Evil's going to pin Bushi. Bushi's kind of become the squash guy of LIJ when you look back.
I don't think Bushi's in that main event.
No, he is. It's right here. I have it in front of me.
I thought it was
because Shingo and Sonata are teaming together against Doki and El Desperado. Then that's LIJ. That's it. It's just those 5.
Yeah.
I know. It's taking time to get used to for you.
Oh no, he's in. I'm thinking of the match that he's in with on Sengoku when he's with Naito.
We're gonna preview that
in a tag match.
Preview that next.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, it's okay. You were jumping the gun. It's all right. I mean, I could give the match lineup really quick.
No, we'll talk about that for next week.
No, I'll give the match lineup. We don't have to talk about it. I mean, the match lineup is.
Actually, no. The next, do the match lineup because next week when we have the show and it airs on the radio, it's going to be after that show.
Or we can move it or we could even do it that Sunday too, at the day after.
Let's go over it now.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have time? No, we don't. We have 4 minutes.
Okay, then.
We'll save it for next.
We don't have time.
We'll preview it. We'll preview it on our next show. That's what we'll do. We will preview it. All right. So.
Well, the show is on Saturday, so.
So we'll preview it. So we'll figure out a time. Nobody's supposed to know when we're recording anyway. Remember? We're supposed to sound live.
Yes.
You totally blew it. You're giving away our information that we should have given away.
Got industry secrets. Oh no.
Oh well, no. Yeah, there aren't enough of those. Just go to Ringside News and go look at the rumors.
Rumors. More like they just sat down. Okay, what can get us clicks today, and then put stuff together.
All right, Lyle, it's time for that finishing move. So let's get to it.
My finishing move, I very much enjoyed watching the Great American Bash from 1990. I'm actually going to go back. Maybe tomorrow I'll do this during work, which I'm not saying or confirming. And I will watch the Clash of Champions 1989.
I watched all those.
with
They're good.
with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the best matches of all time. So I'm very, very excited to watch that card.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a finishing move by Lyle Gillen. So my finishing move is, you know, we always have this discussion about ratings, and we talk about the charts and everything like that, and I'll constantly say the same thing over and over again, which is who cares? Um, I don't think AEW should care about what NXT is doing. I don't think NXT should care about what AEW is doing. First off, both have network contracts. That's number one. Number two, when you look at the numbers, both are doing pretty bad. Um, the fact that both shows have under 800,000 viewers is during a pandemic with nothing else on television is sickening. And it's disturbing. This was supposed to be the next generation of wrestling with these two brands. And the next thing you know, New Japan comes back and they're already the better show. They've been back for they were gone for 3.5 months. And they come back and they're already better. How does that happen? You guys had time to work on this. But I'm being serious though. I feel like both shows, and it drives me nuts when I'm watching both shows. I'm like, why is NXT putting this Robert Show brand thing into the show? Why is Nyla Rose picking Vicky Guerrero as the manager? Why, this is this.
Why is Allie and Brandy Rose having a match on Dynamite?
There's no
Why
division.
Exactly. There's no women's tag division, but they're a tag team. They're just gonna face jobbers every week.
I mean, I just feel like, honestly, I think both Triple H and Tony Khan and all these guys. Actually, I should even say Triple H because Triple H hasn't said a single word about the ratings. Triple H doesn't say anything about the ratings.
No, he hasn't.
Like Tony Khan and those guys, they care way too much about it. Which, by the way, Tony Khan also needs to take some input into his football team because his football team looks like crap right now. Okay. He's getting into a fight with his best player on his team, in Yannick Ngakoue.
Okay? Well, if he runs that football team the same way he runs Fulham, and they're in trouble.
And if he runs AEW the way that he's running these two sports brands, then they're dead on arrival. It's gotta be. It's very scary. It's very sad. Neither show, but it's not even. Neither show's barely even touching 800,000. I mean, it's like
AEW and NXT did recently, but
okay, fine, getting at least over 800,000. TNT thought they were gonna get 900,000 viewership when they signed this deal with AEW.
Well, I don't. I think they would be around that number if they didn't have the pandemic.
It ain't happening. Forget the pandemic. It ain't happening now, but sports coming back. It's either now or never, because sports is going to be back year round. You had your chance now. You didn't do it, so I don't have confidence that they are going to do it.
Well, they were having 900,000+. Both shows were having that for a bit when sports were around. So I think once everything goes back to normal, I think they'll be fine. But
I don't know. I think this was the time to do it when there's absolutely nothing else to watch on television. I think this was the time to have it. But that's my finishing move. Stop worrying about the ratings. Shut up and just put on good shows. All right? New Japan comes back in half months and beats the crap out of you both.
Woo, New Japan!
Yeah. Enough already.
Woo!
6. Embarrassing. All right. Lyle, always a pleasure, my friend. Have a good rest of your week.
Same to you, man.
Thank you. And again, be sure to tune in to 12 p.m. Off the Mat every Saturday with myself and Alex Slows on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And of course, Lyle, really quick, the Twitter feed is what for Takedown Breakdown?
TB Radio _.
And on YouTube.com, we are Takedown Breakdown Radio. You can't miss us. We are the DX logo pretty much, the green spray paint with the black background. with the microphone. If you missed that, I don't know what to tell you. For Lyle, I'm Josh Silverberg. Thank you so much for listening to Takedown Breakdown. We appreciate it, everybody. We hope you stay safe. Have a good rest of your week. This is 90.3 WHBC, the voice of NASA Community College.